tongue was like a barking tone, but nowadays and so.
Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. We are, I don't want to say we're talking to the police. We're having a conversation. It is Monday, so once again, we're looking forward to a conversation with Inspector Michelle Lewis. Now, we have the normal song, and I think it's by Melody, but at the same time, if I wanted to have a song dedicated to this conversation, it would be Dennis Franklin Williams, Merchant. You got to be careful, because we're looking at situational awareness. So we say, welcome, Inspector Lewis. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning to you, and thank you both for having me here, and good morning to Trinidad and Tobago. You caught me off guard with Merchant.
Yeah, man.
So I'm thinking Merchant song, and I'm thinking, yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, it does.
It's going to be in my head for the rest of the day, that is for sure.
And we might end with it too, I don't know.
Apparently.
But in terms of situational awareness, what are some of the biggest things or the first things that come to mind that individuals should be aware of?
All right, so situational awareness, when you hear the word, you're thinking like you're saying, all this, you know. But it really simply means being more observant and being more conscious of your surroundings. Whether you are walking on the street, in your home, entering your vehicle, or at school. And school meaning whether you have to train your children and give them the information so that they are aware, or whether you yourself are in tertiary level education and need to practice some situational awareness. One of the things that the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service try to do a lot is partner with the community, the national community, to reduce crime and the fear of crime. And when persons become more aware of their surroundings, about their situation and the environment and atmosphere that they are in, it helps to reduce crime and the fear of crime. And so it will help to make every place in Trinidad and Tobago safe. So when we look at situational awareness, we think of the things that are taking place around us, analyzing what is taking place, stopping and thinking about what is happening around you, analyzing the situation that is around you, and seeing, for example, if you have a plan in place. So for example, you may be living or based on the crime or particular circumstances, you may want to have a plan in place for your family should something happen. And so being aware of the situation nationally, you may have a plan in place of, you know, should someone enter my home, what would I do? Should someone enter the yard? I'm coming out of the vehicle and I have the children with me, or whoever, what are you going to do? So situational awareness calls you to put plans in place to be able to mitigate certain circumstances to save life and property. First and foremost is the life, and if it is that, you know, secondly, let them take the vehicle or, you know, enter the home or whatever as the case may be. So you may hear some information, or you may be in a particular area, and for example, you may indicate to your children that, listen, if you were to see certain things taking place in the area, go inside, enter into this room, do this, do that. And then if it is that you recognize that, listen, this may be something that you may want to ensure does not happen on your end, one of the things that you can also do is try to make sure that the information that you have is actually concrete and accurate. So you don't want to be fearful on information that is not accurate.
So, Inspector, before we get into that realm of information, particularly as it is something we critically do need to discuss this morning, let's just keep with situational awareness for a moment. From your experience and from the observation, of course, of the general public, are there any perhaps common habits that individuals may have that put us at a greater risk and we don't even realize because they're so ingrained in our day-to-day?
Yeah, so we need to definitely look at behavioral change when you look at situational awareness. One example that we see taking place a lot is persons still will exit their vehicle, enter into their yard, and leave the engine running with the keys inside the ignition of the vehicle and, you know, go in the yard, and you're on a road. So someone see the opportunity to take your vehicle and they drive with your vehicle. Sometimes your child or children may be in the vehicle, your handbag or your purse may be inside there with your valuables and that kind of thing. So we still see persons not taking that level of alertness and paying attention to their surroundings and observing what is taking place in making good choices. And
I want to just continue on that, please. I'm not calling any brand name, but sometimes you see people have tongue and country in their hands. And they go in, they have a mug big like the head, so the door is open and they're sorting out all these things before they close that door and start to proceed. The engine may have been started already because, you know, sometimes they want the AC to get a little cooler in the car. So it seems as though there's just this potential looking at individual behaviors, and the area hasn't been scanned to see what is happening anyhow. But you spoke, Inspector, about information sources. It seems as though there's so many places that we can get information from, but how do we put different levels of importance to the information that is available, and sometimes just they're just flooding our consciousness?
It is important to look at the source from where you're getting the information and ensure that the source for the information that you are getting and also sharing is authoritative one. Meaning, for example, in relation to information from the police service on safety, you look to the TTPS, you look to our Facebook page, our website. So if it is through the Ministry of National Security, well, the Ministry of Homeland Security and Ministry of Defense or any other area or ministry that would give you the information that you can validate or know for certain that it is, you know, an accurate source. So before even sharing information that can perhaps cause persons in the community to become very afraid, you want to ensure that that information that you have is definitely accurate. We have been seeing some instances where persons are sharing information that are not accurate, and it is indeed causing some alarm, some panic in some cases, and the information in itself is not accurate. So we really want to encourage persons to do that. So both topics actually, or both issues actually tie together. Because when you think about situational awareness and you think about the information that you're getting, you want to make sure that in your preparedness that you are preparing for something that is accurate and that you're not preparing for something that is not accurate. And you would save yourself some mental stress if you were to ensure that you get that information from the correct source.
And even like that, sometimes I almost call myself professionally paranoid, because some of the digital platforms that we can get information from, there's someone who's purporting to be this, but they're not necessarily. So we need to make sure, okay, well, yes, the logo is there, and all these things are stacked to say, okay, well, yes, this is actually a press release from this source that I trust and is reputable.
Yes, and there are so many different media outlets, news sources, and propaganda that come out of social media that persons tend to follow. But we really, really want to encourage persons this morning to be really, just as you said, to be, for example, a couple of months ago we had where some banks, some financial institutions, persons were getting misinformation that, you know, contact the bank, you know, press on this link and that kind of thing. And the site looked as if it was a genuine, authentic site for a financial institution. So even with the TTPS and different ministries and places that you'll want to get the information, for example, with what is taking place in Jamaica, you want to make sure that you get your information in relation to the weather and any type of news from the correct source, so that it will indeed prevent you from getting misinformation and certainly guide you in really being accurate in your situational awareness.
So we've been able to speak about some of the key identifiers we can look out for, of course, going to the official news platforms. Now, let's go outside of that and perhaps go to those who may be part and parcel to this information being distributed. Are there legal consequences for individuals who will go and spread mis and disinformation to the public?
Well, certainly there is. So if it is in relation to someone's character, there is a defamation of character. That person can seek legal action against someone. And so there are other pieces of legislation where if the information is defamatory, certainly persons can seek legal redress with that and and persons can be held culpable before the court.
Something that is critical, of course, especially in these times. So we would have touched on, of course, we're speaking about misinformation, we're speaking about situational awarenesses now as well. One of the things, just going back to situational awareness, that you would have shared is something as simple as somebody not being aware and getting in and out of their car. Mm-hmm. Do you have any tips that you could share with the public as to what we can do to start to improve on those things?
Certainly. So what we encourage persons to do is to take your vehicle, shut it off, take the keys out of the vehicle, open the gate, then enter back into the vehicle, start the key again, the ignition again, and then enter. One of the things that Rust and DK spoke of is in relation to persons who have a lot of things in their hand and enter in your vehicle. So you would want to put those things in the vehicle first, place them into your vehicle, and then sit down in the vehicle and let the AC run and then go your merry way, instead of running the AC and then coming back into the vehicle, you know, with all those things in your hand and not really observing. Now, 2 minutes ago, there was no one on the street. Now, 2 minutes after, there are persons on the street who may cause you, you know, some kind of harm. So it is really important that you pay attention. Even when you are entering, when you're going into the malls, and where you're parking, ensure that you park in a well-lit area. If you know that when you are leaving the mall, it is going to be late. For example, if you go to watch a movie, you may go in the daytime, and by the time you leave, it might be nighttime. Try to park where you know a lot of persons are going to be at that time when you are leaving, and not at the shopping area that are going to be closed. Yeah?
And the little things that somehow, when you're thinking about them, now or after the fact, they seem, okay, yeah, that's simple, I can do it, but at the same time, sometimes you're just looking for that part because you're looking for the time for the thing.
Yeah.
And speaking of time and situational awareness, we've come to the end of the discussion. Thank you very much, Inspector Lewis. Looking at situational awareness, also how we filter information, and we continue to have these conversations on a Monday. It's one of the highlights of our Monday, so thank you so much. And we thank you for staying tuned to the Now Morning Show. We continue after this. Stay with us.
More things could happen all of a sudden before you realize it's only a disguise. You got to be careful.